Nós começamos agora, então, a primeira sessão de palestras do 19º Simpósio Brasileiro de Computação Aplicada à Saúde. Nós temos nessa sessão duas palestras que serão realizadas. A primeira palestra da nossa palestrante internacional, a professora Akane Sano, da Rice University, onde o título é Towards Data-Driven Personalized Health and Wellbeing Assistant. E logo após a gente terá a palestra do professor Arthur Ziviani, do Laboratório Nacional de Computação Científica, cujo título é Desafios da Ciência de Dados aplicada à Saúde Digital. Antes da gente começar, eu queria só fazer um esclarecimento e uma justificativa. Na verdade, a gente teria a professora Akane aqui pessoalmente para fazer a palestra para todos nós, mas ela teve um imprevisto com a emissão do visto brasileiro. O visto dela não ficou pronto a tempo e ela não pôde embarcar para o Brasil na segunda noite. E ela só nos avisou isso na hora do embarque. Então eu não tive como tomar alguma providência ou, enfim, tentar ajudar de alguma maneira para tentar agilizar a emissão do visto. Então ela acabou não embarcando, e aí a solução que a gente conseguiu, né, de tal maneira ainda assim ter o conteúdo que ela apresentaria, que a gente acredita que é bastante interessante. Vários pesquisadores aqui, colegas, estão aqui presentes em função da palestra. Então a gente decidiu tentar fazer a palestra remotamente. Eu espero que funcione. E aí diminuímos um pouco o tempo, né, já que é remota, a gente pode ter problemas de conexão. E aí vai ter em seguida, então, a palestra do professor Arthur Ziviani também complementando a sessão. Mas a professora Akane já se colocou à disposição, a gente pode depois marcar com ela uma outra videoconferência, enfim, principalmente os colegas da UF que estavam aqui bastante interessados em conhecê-la pessoalmente, para a gente não deixar essa oportunidade de contato desaparecer. Tá? Então, essa é a nossa justificativa. Eu peço realmente desculpas por esse imprevisto, mas é algo que foge do nosso controle e a gente não teve como contornar. Okay, we're going to start. I would like to introduce to you Professor Akane Sano. She's a professor at Rice University in the Department of Electrical Computer Engineering and Computer Science. She obtained her PhD at MIT Media Lab and her master's and bachelor in engineering at Keio University in Japan. Before she joined the Rice University, she was a research scientist in Effective Computing Group at MIT Media Lab and a visiting scientist lecturer at Peopleware Computing Lab, Cornell University. She directs the Computational Wellbeing Group. Her research focuses on human sensing, data analysis, and application and development for health and well-being. So we're going to let Professor Akane start her presentation, and I ask you to make questions just after she ends the presentation. I will invite you, if you'd like to come here to make her questions and make it in a more interactively way, you're welcome to come, or I can make the question for you. Each way is fine. Okay, so Akane, thank you very much for your participation. We are willing to hear you.
Thank you. Thanks for the introduction. Can you hear me well? First of all, I'm very sorry that I couldn't make it there in person. I was supposed to be there, but I couldn't get a visa on time, and I'm very sorry about that. And I really appreciate Deborah for your arrangement and support and making my presentation possible today. So first of all, let me start my presentation. So I was very excited and looking forward to seeing you in person because I saw very related research and papers on the website. So today my talk is about data-driven personalized health and well-being assistant. Going to the next slide. So the research we are working on is what I called computational well-being. So what we do is we are developing technologies for health and well-being, especially using mobile technologies. Next page, please. The topics I'm going to talk about today is the following. So I'm talking about mental health, stress, sleep, and performance and cognitive assistance. And a lot of you here must have mobile phones. Some of you might have wearable sensors You might be wearing like Apple Watch or Samsung band or a kind of devices that can capture our physiological and behavioral signals in our daily life. So imagine your mobile phone or your mobile wearable devices not only count how many steps you take every day, but also can give you, for example, what kind of things you can do to improve your health, especially your mood or sleep or performance. Can you imagine that kind of world is coming in the next few years? So that is the research we are working on and I'm presenting today. Next page, please. The biggest problem I'm facing for my research is the mental health. I wanted to hear about the situation in Brazil as well, but mental health, for example, in the States, I'm also originally from Japan, in Asia, is one of the biggest social problems. And as you might know, depression is growing worldwide, and it's going to be #1 disease burden by 2030. And other than depression, we have also significant issues about substance abuse and, for example, opioids, cocaine use, those kind of alcohol abuse. Those are serious issues in the society and skyrocketing dramatically. So other than this depression and substance abuse, we have also other issues such as schizophrenia and other types of psychiatric disease. We need to detect and intervene timely. Next slide, please. My research is also targeting not only clinical populations, but also other populations, such as people at high risk of poor mental health and performance due to very high demand in their, for example, academic activities and jobs. I think people like us might be very healthy, relatively healthy, but we might be very busy with research, also balancing our work with other things, like having time with family and friends, and so we might have also some risk of poor mental health and performance because we are very busy and we have to take this balance. So our study is also targeting this kind of population with high risk, such as college students, office workers, also astronauts. Astronauts, they are in a very special constrained conditions far away from the Earth, but they have to go through very special important missions without making errors, and they are also suffering from high stress and also mental health issues. And they also have sleep issues because they have there is such a unique conditions with the microgravity and with different light patterns. Next slide, please. And the new population we are also investigating is shift worker population. So shift workers include medical professionals such as nurses, doctors, firefighters, and they have shift work. That means sometimes they have day shifts and night shifts, so they have to adjust their working and schedule. Even though we have a very fixed life pattern, so that the sun rises up, sun goes up, is fixed every day. So, but they have to adjust their working hours, sleep-wake cycles, and also they have to maintain a very high performance during their work. So our study is also targeting this kind of shift workers, as well as people who are suffering from social jet lag. So social jet lag, some of you might have heard about this word, but even though we are not traveling and not traveling across different time zones, if we have a very irregular sleep cycle, especially young generations, they might be addicted to like video games or online communities, and they might have very irregular sleep cycles. For example, they have to wake up relatively early in the morning for school during weekdays. However, on weekends, their sleep-wake cycles are shifted very much. So they have a very irregular sleep cycle. So these populations, even though they are not traveling across time zones, their circadian rhythm, that is a biological clock, which regulate our all kind of physiological mechanisms, are disrupted. So we are developing, I will talk more about it later, but we are developing a technology for supporting this kind of shift workers as well as people with social setbacks. Next. Then how can we support this kind of people, especially to enhance their mental well-being, resilience, and adverse events, and their academic or cognitive performance? So this is the biggest topic we are working on for our research. Next, please. So here is the graph I always show when I explain about my research. So this graph shows you how our well-being, for example, how our stress can be changing over time. So at the beginning, everyone might be very positive, feeling very good, very motivated, energetic. However, some people are very resilient. So even though we have a lot of stress, some people can stay resilient, then can keep going. However, that's not everyone, unfortunately. Some people are more sensitive to stress. So if we have a lot of stress over time, some people, this red line, some people is well-being or health condition is going down. And what we need to do is, next slide is, so the goal of our research is we want to forecast, we want to predict how people's health conditions, well-being condition will be based on previous history and what we are observing now. And we want to know how people will be doing. And if we predict if people's well-being or stress condition is getting worse, we want to intervene people at an early stage, because it's going to be too late to intervene people if people are already reached at the very bottom, very negative conditions. So what we want to try to do is forecast, intervene to people to prevent disorders such as depression in early stage. And in order to do that, we are trying to develop the personalized warning and suggestions, the system to provide personalized warning and suggestions to promote people's health and well-being outcomes. So I'm directing computational well-being group at Rice University. Rice University is located in Houston, Texas, which is like 10 hours away from Leo. And so our mission is to design technologies for measuring and improving health and well-being. And we have mainly like 3 main components for our research. First one is we want to measure sense human physiology and behaviors in our daily life using ubiquitous sensors in mobile phone and those devices. And number 2 is after getting human physiological and behavioral signals, we need to develop very robust algorithms to measure or infer or make decisions from this data. And number 3 is designing intervention and support systems for health and well-being. Next, please. And our research is very interdisciplinary. I think people over there must be also coming from these interdisciplinary areas. And for example, our research requires, of course, sensing, so how to capture the data from humans. So some of the devices can be, wrist-worn wearable sensors, can be glasses. So recently, we have other type of sensors, which is like tattoo-style sensors. And after we get data, we always do a lot of data analysis, machine learning, and signal processing. Because these data are very noisy, and sometimes we have missing data, unfortunately, because sometimes data can be broken, and sometimes people forget where sensor collects data. And how can we handle this kind of noise and missing data? And we also care about human-computer interaction, because our purpose is not only improving the performance in terms of like accuracy or speed, but also we really care about the usability or how the efficacy of our technology as well. And we also study and people's emotion and health and well-being as well. So we are integrating this kind of skills, knowledge to tackle our research problems. Next, please. And so in the past years, our research was focusing on mostly like sensing and inference, so first and second steps. Because especially a lot of studies, psychological studies, has been done to measure people's reaction, people's behaviors and physiology in laboratory settings. So that has been done for many, many years, 30 years, 40 years. But our study was, was measuring people outside the laboratory settings. So we have been collecting a lot of data from regular people, or as well as patient populations using ubiquitous sensors and mobile sensors. And so we have done a lot of algorithm development to understanding the meaning of the data, like interpreting the data, what this multimodal data from mobile sensors means, and how can we detect and predict people's conditions, especially people's emotional states as well as disease states. And so we were doing this like offline. So we were collecting a lot of data, then processing and trying so many different things. And then separately, we have been also developing interventions, which is, for example, some of our studies provide micro-interventions. So micro-intervention is a very small behavioral suggestions you might be able to try. So because for a lot of people, changing behaviors and trying something new is very difficult. We always have a very high hurdle to do it. So we need to always think about very small suggestions to people so that people might be interested in trying something new, but something very subtle. Also, we also have to think about to provide those interventions in a right timing, because if people are busy with doing something else, people don't want to try something new, right? So we have to figure out when is a good timing and what kind of intervention people might be able to try. Also, we have also another type of interventions, and this is totally more passive. So we can provide some auditory or visual or tactile stimulation to people so that we can enhance like entrainment of heart rate and respiration rate. But in previous years, we have been working on this sensing, inference, intervention like more separately. So the next step we are taking is we will combine these three pieces together so that we can develop this personalized feedback system. Next, please. Next. Oh, yes. I have a little animation. Yeah. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And so this is another image talking about this personalized feedback system. Especially the current the main project we are working currently is targeting to develop intelligent cognitive assistance. So as I said, we can capture physiological signals from mobile phones, wearable signals. Also, some of our new projects integrate these mobile sensing with non-contact sensing methods, which is using like radar or camera. So without wearing anything, we can capture the heart rate and respiration. Of course, this kind of non-contact sensing still has this advantage that when we use it, people have to be relatively still, because if people move a lot, we get a lot of artifacts. But combining these different sensing modalities, we are hoping to get people's continuous data as much as possible in different locations, in different places from different people. And then after getting data, we are doing modeling. I will talk more about it later. Then connecting this modeling and sensing data into interventions to enhancing people's cognitive ability and well-being. Next, please. So some of you have used wearable devices and mobile phones, and I also think the next talk today will be also about wearable, mobile, and machine learning. So I think the second talk will be pretty much related to what I'm talking about today. Thank you for listening. Yes, I can see. Then using this kind of wearable mobile sensing, we can capture many different things. For example, physical activities. If we apply clustering algorithms, we can understand how many hours people spend at workplace, also home setting, in other places for entertainment, for example. Also, mobile phone can give us, how many emails, how many text message, phone calls we are communicating with others. This kind of information will tell us the clue for social interaction. How many people we are interacting with, how often we are using also mobile phones, what kind of apps we are using, etc. And also, these devices can give us vital signs such as heart rate, breathing rate. Some of the devices, like intelligent glasses, can give us eye blinking, information about our pupils, about eyes. And as I said, this off-body contactless sensing is another modality for sensing. And using microphone, also radars, and we could have a lot of new possibilities of measuring something very exciting. Not only like heart rate, respiration, but we could go beyond. We might be able to capture something like chemicals, more biological from our body as well. Next page, please. Oh, so sorry. So I can't confirm my slide. Yeah, don't worry. Yes, slide 16. Yes. So the issue in this kind of measuring people's behavior and physiology in daily life is, data collection is not that easy. Maybe some of you might work on like audio or face or image analysis, and they have a very long history compared to this kind of physiological studies. And we have to really think about how we can collect large amount of data effectively and efficiently. For example, some of our studies collected data from like 30 days to even longer than 1 year. So when we run this kind of human studies for very long time, we always have to check whether we are collecting the good quality of data. Because as I said, the sensor might be broken in the middle of the study, and the participants might lose their interest. And so in our study, we developed automatic data validation tools for checking the quality of sensor data, phone data, and surveys. So in our study, we combine the survey data as well as objective sensor and phone data. So every day, our system is checking whether we are receiving the data from devices, also from surveys, and whenever we get some missing data or errors, we are trying to prompt our participants so that they can check their sensors, also they can fill out surveys. And this kind of system will be definitely must for running long-term study, because we can't really manually check what's going on. And also, if we don't check this kind of things, and it might be happening after you finish study and you're coming back to your data, and you might find out that your data might not be collected well, and which is a disaster. Next slide, please. So another thing is our data from wearable and mobile sensors can be very noisy. And so this is one example. We developed machine learning models automatically detect artifacts from wearable sensor data. So this automatic artifact detection was designed specifically for skin conductance, which is a micro-sweat response. And so we measure the sweat response from our wrist. And so after collecting our data set, we also added some labels. So we asked some specialized people to annotate the data, because we want to figure out which portion of the data is noisy and which portion of the data is clean. And so we get these labels and data, and then we develop a machine learning algorithm that automatically can figure out which portion of the data is noise and which portion is clean. Next page, please. So for inferring people's status conditions, for example, in our study, we are trying to continuously measure people's alertness, circadian rhythm, which is the biological clock, and people's stress and mood. And initially, we are developing only one very big model. However, we also noticed that ideally we want to develop a very big, only one model that can fit everyone in the world. However, it's not that easy. And then we are now developing more personalized and dynamic machine learning models. And the next step we are taking is our model should be more adaptive. So it should be more adaptive to the user's condition. And user's condition is changing over time. Reaction is changing, feeling is changing. So our model has to evolve over time. So which is the next step of our research. Next slide, please. And then at some point, so we noticed that we have a lot of individual differences. For example, if we think about what makes people happy or stressed, people have different preferences, different personality types, different profiles. So we have to think about this kind of individual differences in our machine learning models. And for accounting for this kind of individual differences, we have used multitask learning, which is one kind of algorithm in machine learning, which can learn multiple tasks at the same time, still learning the model from data from everyone. So ideally, we want to super personalize our model. That means we want to use the data from each individual to make super individual models. But the issue is the collecting the data is not that easy. It's very expensive. So we also want to take advantage of data from other people as well as that specific target. And here I'm explaining some examples using person or group A versus group B. So for example, group A, people might be just doing research in a laboratory. but this person might not like going to the party. However, this is not everyone. Maybe some people like going to the party and they might not stay that much. So we have to design some models to take account this kind of individual difference. And so as I show some examples here, neural network model, this is, oh, so I'm still staying in the previous sheet.
It's like 20.
12, 19. 19. So we can design some neural network, and we have inputs, and we design some of the layers are shared by different people or different group of people. And at the end, we could also design the individual layer. So this is one example of multitask learning. Next page, please. So one of the prediction tasks we are trying in our research is predicting daily mood and stress. Not only today's mood, but also predicting future. For example, mood tomorrow or next week or next month. It's like a weather forecast. So as I show you this trajectory of well-being at the beginning, this resilient people versus not resilient people. So we are hoping to predict people's future mood, stress, or health conditions using prediction algorithms. Then the question is, can we predict individual mood, stress tomorrow or in the future using actual today's data? So we have tried several different models in the past few years. And so our data comes from wearable sensors, mobile phones. Also, we could also incorporate some surveys. Ideally, we want to only depend on objective data. So using this previous data set, can we predict? Can we predict like people's high versus low stress conditions, or we are also trying like continuous regression model. Our stress or mood health is 0 to 100 scale. Next page, please. And our data is very high dimensional from multimodal because we are using multiple sensors. Mobile phone could also give us many things about communication, application usage, mobility patterns. So physiology data comes from wearable sensors mostly, skin temperature, skin conductance, the heart rate, oscillation, and so we also use some surveys. Next page, please. Then also another challenging issue is we have these multimodal signals, and how can we integrate these multimodal signals into the model? And for example, we can treat them independently at the beginning, and then at the end we can combine everything. Or we might be able to combine all the signals at a very early stage, and we might be able to apply different models. For example, we have been trying very simple models to deep learning models. And also another issue is, these sensors have different sampling rates. So some sensors sample at 8 hertz, 8 points per second, and some data might come only, every 1 hour or different sampling rates. So how can we integrate? So which is we are facing right now, and we are trying different methods. Next page, please. And also for personalized machine learning, we could develop multitask with machine learning model for each individual. Or we can also develop multitask machine learning model for group of people, because some of the people have very similar profiles. for example, like gender, personality type, the places they are living, like jobs. And based on those profiles, we can cluster people into groups. And of course, this personalized learning could have better performance. But if we think about adapting this model to new users, cluster-based learning could be better for adapting to new users. And so we are now studying how to adapt our model to new users. Next slide, please. And also, recently, a lot of advances in deep learning is coming. And instead of computing features by ourselves, some of the deep learning algorithms can automatically extract features from raw data. So we are also leveraging this kind of algorithm and just feeding our raw data. So we have time series physiological signals, behavioral signals from sensors. And then we design the model so that the model can automatically extract features and use those automatically extracted features for prediction. And however, that disadvantage is maybe, as most of you know, that this kind of model might not be transparent. That means we might not be able to interpret why this model works and which features are more important. And a lot of clinicians, they really care about transparency. So they want to know how model works and when model fails and what kind of features are more important. But this kind of automatically extracted features are losing that kind of transparency, which is a disadvantage. Next page, please. And also, even though we use this kind of deep learning method, there are so many ways to design the model. So many ways of combining multimodal signals, so many parameters to optimize. And so we are now comparing different structures or different ways of combining multimodal signals. And this is just one example for combining skin temperature, skin conductance, and acceleration for predicting future well-being. Next page, please. And also, as I said, we are testing how to combine these different kinds of time series data sets. And this is another example to detect our circadian rhythm from using our sensors. And our circadian rhythm is very important because it regulates our sleep-wake patterns, heart rate, blood pressure, and all kinds of our biological rhythms. However, it is super hard to measure it. So we have to have people in a laboratory overnight to measure saliva or to measure blood under very controlled setting to get the pure measurement of biological clocks. However, we are trying to do it using sensors. Next slide, please. Then, how can we estimate biological clocks? And then how can we integrate the physiological signals? Here we are using the data from acceleration, which is physical activity, light patterns, and skin temperature. And also we are combining this data with sleep patterns to get our biological clock more accurate. Next page, please. And then I will also talk about a little bit about intervention as well. I already pointed out, but some of the studies we are developing the applications to deliver micro-intervention, which is a small behavioral suggestion to users at the right timing. And so our models are now, our model is looking at users' behavioral and physiological data. And because this app needs to make decisions, what kind of interventions probably this user likes, and when we need to provide this intervention. So this has to be based on context, history, and profile, and also limited user input. And another intervention we are trying is more like low effort. Because this micro intervention, still we need to rely on people trying something new or some suggestions. But the low effort intervention can be very passive. So we can provide light intervention to adjust biological clock. Also, another thing we are trying is, for example, we can provide some tactile stimulation, which is like very small vibration through Apple Watch, for example, and to your wrist. And if we provide very slow tactile vibrations, those slow tactile vibrations can entrain your heart rate or respiration rate. That means if we provide slow feedback, slow stimulation to our body, it can also slow down our heart rate and respiration. And actually, not only tactile stimulation, but also some studies already show that the visual, for example, if we change the intensity of our computer screen very slowly, it can also entrain our heart rate and respiration. And if we provide a very subtle oscillation of sound through headphones or speakers, that kind of stimulation also can entrain heart rate and respiration. So this kind of stimulation can be much more passive, and people don't need to pay attention to it. But still, we might be able to regulate people's biological condition, which is kind of scary, but which is but exciting field to move on. So next slide, please. So this is almost the end of my talk. And so as I said, I think our field is, of course, moving forward, and we have new kind of centers developed, and also we have new platform, new mobile devices that can allow us to process the data in real time. And so which is very exciting because which is broadening our possibilities to make this kind of system real. And however, we have a lot of challenges in our research. And as I said, our measurement comes from people in the daily life setting. So we have a lot of noise, missing data, unfortunately. So how can we, reverse it? How can we impute this missing data? So if, only limited amount of observation is found, how can we still do prediction with that? And how to collect big data, collecting, of course, we always want to get big data. And especially, if we want to apply very complicated model, always we want to get big data, but getting big data is not that easy. And also we have individual differences, and how can we integrate multimodal data to get a best performance? And our models have to be have to be adapted. So previously our studies has been, we are always developing the model using the data offline, but next step will be, our model will be in real time, also evolving in real time with, user input or like incoming data real time. And another thing we need to think about is this kind of feedback system. We always have issues with like user engagement because some people might want to try this kind of system at the beginning. However, people just don't continue. So they just lose their interest because I don't know, because we are just capturing the same thing every day, or we are not providing the right feedback to users. And also, if we use this kind of prediction, also automatic intervention system, we need to establish the trust between users and system. Because if the system is making errors, of course, the system could make errors, right? But if the user just always see the errors, then users just lose trust to system. So the feedback, also prediction, has to be, also, has to be something users can understand, also interpret, because everything given to users has to make sense, right? Otherwise, we will lose engagement and trust. So we are trying to develop systems to getting continuous engagement and trust between users and systems. And I think next slide, please. So this is almost the end. So again, we are trying to develop this kind of personalized feedback system to enhance people's well-being and performance. And next slide, please. And I'm very sorry to not to be there in person. And I'd like to thank my students. And also I have a lot of collaborators for ongoing studies, so I'd like to thank my collaborators. And thank you for your attention, and I'm very happy to answer any questions. And if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to email me, and I'm happy to answer anything. Thank you very much.
Okay, we're open for questions now. Does anyone would like to make one?
Hi, Professor.
Hello.
Hello. First of all, congratulations for your presentation. It's very good. And one thing that I want you to explain more, I know that is a challenge because my research area is user engagement, patient engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to know if you think to measure this kind of thing, because one of the challenges that we have in this area is how to measure the engagement of the patient. It's one question. And another question that I want to know is about burnout. Nowadays we talk a lot about burnout. It's a disease that we have in job. And your research are thinking about how to measure burnout or something like that? This is the two questions that I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for your questions. For the first one, about engagement. So I think there are two ways to measure engagement. Of course, we can ask participants whether, they are, how much interest they have for using this kind of app from time to time. But also, it's kind of obvious if we can just measure it objectively. For example, how many times they are using the app, how many times they check in, because whenever we provide some feedback, if they are interested in, and they will see it, right? But if they lose interest, unfortunately, they don't respond to it. They just ignore a lot of notifications, and eventually, they will uninstall the app. So I think we could measure those engagement, using subjective measures as well as objective measures. And about burnout, yes, burnout is also one of the research topics we are working on, because burnout is very severe problem in especially like medical professionals, doctors and nurses, and then the one issue we are having is, if people are really, very stressed and tired, and then we can't even get, their response at all, right? They don't have, energy, or they don't have time to answer, how they are feeling even. So then how can we get, for example, if we want to make a model based on the self-reported, health or mood, and how can we get those labels? And so the labels can be very sparse. We might not be able to get a label like every day, several days, one label for several days, and which is challenge. And are you working on burnout too? Or?
No, I only just to know because we hear a lot about burnout, but I'm not working with this. I'm working with the user engagement, and I have research that I try to measure the engagement from the patient text analysis. The patient, how they write something and try to do some measure in this. Because of this, I asked to you, because I don't know if you can use some signals that the patient use, or how he or she use the system at the mobile, if you can use some signal to know if they are engagement or not in the system. So because of this, I try to...
Yeah, that's a good point. That's true. So that's true. So yeah, maybe without depending on the specific person's self-report, we could also measure some objective measures. Also, we might be able to ask other people's input as well, because some people might not notice that they are burned out. However, people around that specific person might notice, so we might be able to get another type of data in this case.
Thank you, Marcia. She's a professor here too, Professor Luciana.
Hi, Professor. Thank you very much for your talk. It was very inspiring. I work with human-computer interaction, and nowadays I'm studying users' vulnerabilities during the interaction process. And I was wondering if you are researching these issues, cultural and social issues, how you include these issues in your design process. If you include ethical, social, cultural issues in your design process or not, and if you include, which approach you are using nowadays.
I see. So are you talking about how I design this system? So, what we usually do is, sorry, am I getting your question? Or?
Oh, I can repeat. During your design process, when you are modeling the predictive models, if you use any approach to define, to investigate social or ethical issues from your audience.
I see. So, we usually do some interviews or focus groups to get opinions from our participants. For example, there can be surveys too. So we always ask, how do you feel about this kind of system, or do you trust? For example, I talked about the trust between users and computers, and do you trust this kind of system, and what kind of things made you untrust, for example, trust this system? And also, are you worried about privacy? That, for example, how much, how comfortable are you about collecting data? and what makes you like nervous or worried about collecting this kind of data. So we get that kind of input from users.
With qualitative studies, with focus groups, like
yes,
this?
Yes.
Okay.
So how do you study, people's trust or engagement? Or...
Okay, many thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have time for one last question. Is a student in the computer science undergrad course.
Hello, Professor. First of all, thank you for your talk. It was rather enjoyable for me to see computer science being used to understand more about human mental health. And my question is how much do you think that the fact that the person is the awareness of the person that she or he is being monitored might affect the precision of the data that's being collected? How I don't know if the problematic is the right word, but how much of a problem that can be, because people might tend to act differently from how they normally act if they know they're being monitored.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your question. And yeah, that's true. So I think some study already have shown that only collecting survey could influence people's condition, right? In good way or bad way. So for example, if we answer like every day, like morning and evening, how you're feeling, and then that could make you more aware of your condition. And some studies show that that kind of surveys could could help you manage your condition better. Or I think some other studies show that if you are in a poor condition, like answering so many times that I'm not feeling well, I'm not so feeling well, I'm not so feeling well, could also worsen your condition as well. Then we also got some feedback from our study participants as well, because, for example, we have collected data from about 300 college students in long-term study. Then some people really appreciate that daily checking, because they pay more attention to what they are feeling. And then, but our survey is very, very short. So, we are hoping, we didn't disturb them much. But also, yeah, I can't really 100% deny that, our survey is not influencing them at all. So, yeah, so we are hoping to, minimize that effect. But of course, yeah, for each person, there must be some effect. But wearing sensors could be, people might need a few days to get used to it, for example. But after that, they said it's like it's not a gigantic device. So it's like just a watch. So people will just get used to it, and so we are hoping that it is a very minimal effect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Akane. I think our time is up. I have to call the next speaker. I really appreciate your remote presentation and remote participation. I think that we can get in contact afterwards. Maybe if somewhere else has another questions, we can send it to you by email or make an appointment for another call. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Let's thank her again.